Several months ago, the Reddit anime community came together and voted on what they claimed were 100 underappreciated anime. As a person who loves watching hidden gems, and having agreed with my fair share of them thus far on the list already, this intrigued me as I now set out to watch every single one of them. That's how this series started. This is the third installment of the Reddit Made Me Watch This series, where I pick and review a new anime on the list. I usually just pick an anime to watch at random, but if there's one you guys are interested in seeing, tell me in the comments. If you are enjoying the series, don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe. In order to be considered underrated, I set the bar for at least a 7.5 out of 10 rating. Thus far, in my opinion, Reddit is correct in saying that 11 of the 20 anime I've watched from this list fit that criteria, being considered underrated, deserving of much more recognition. So far, Reddit is 1-1 with new entries, so not too bad overall. The next anime I decided to check out is Planetarian Storyteller of the Stars. Will Planetarian be underrated, or will Reddit be wrong once again? Before getting into the review, I want to state the best way to watch Planetarian, since there's this show with 5 episodes, a movie, and an OVA. I think the best order to watch this is to watch the OVA first, since it is a prequel, and then follow that up with the movie. With all of that being said, if you don't feel like watching the OVA, you don't have to. It's an okay watch, and it provides a better understanding and appreciation of one of the main characters, who is extremely important to the story, but it's not something that's required to be watched. Don't bother watching the show Planetarian, the Reverie of a Little Planet, since the movie has all of the scenes from it, with even more story added, and a better conclusion as well. Otherwise, those scenes from the movie will be repetitive. Planetarian Storyteller of the Stars takes place in a post-apocalyptic future. The world has been devastated by both nuclear and biological warfare, leaving civilization in ruins. People are no longer able to see the sun or stars due to the constant rain and darkness of nuclear fallout caused by humanity. Bloodshed and hardship still continue, with people never fully trusting one another. Just in like every post-apocalyptic setting, there are people who go out to scavenge anything in order to survive, despite the risk, and within Planetarian they are known as junkers. This film tells the story of an unnamed male protagonist who goes by a couple of nicknames, but you never are told his actual name. What's unique about the Planetarian movie is that the story goes back and forth between the past and present. In the past, the main character is a junker and goes by the name Mr. Customer. In the present, he is no longer a junker and is famously known as the Storyteller of the Stars. While he was a junker, he was cynical and carries himself in a standoffish way, which is understandable given the state of the world that he lives in, a world devoid of hope. The story of Planetarian Storyteller of the Stars chronologically starts with a junker who is desperate for useful supplies, as he takes a giant risk by entering an abandoned city filled with armed robots. While trying to escape from them, he stumbles across a pre-war planetarium on the roof of a department store. There's a couple of weird things about this building. First, somehow electricity is operational in this small area, despite the fact that nobody has lived there for a very long time. Second, and actually the weirdest thing, is that there's a non-hostile, kind-hearted, very talkative robot attendant still working at the planetarium. This robot girl named Yumemi is still carrying on her duties there, despite nobody showing up for the past 29 years. She's great at her job and is completely unaware of the current state of the world. According to Yumemi, in order to save power, she and the building's electricity are only operational for 1 week a year. So luckily for the junker, or Mr. Customer as he is lovingly called by her, was able to experience Yumemi still performing her duties. She's eager to do her job, to show him a presentation of the stars, which after her constant nagging, he reluctantly agrees to view. Unfortunately, the projector is broken and there's obviously no one around that can fix it. Mr. Customer, despite being low on provisions and often being annoyed by Yumemi's constant talking, finds himself willingly staying behind repairing the projector. You can see that his curiosity got the better of him, and perhaps he enjoyed her company since his life was lonely up until that point. It's clear that the junker is still interested in the stars through not only his actions and willingness to stay around despite low rations, but also due to the fact that he wears a constellation necklace. While fixing the projector, their differing personalities clash heads as they talk about a variety of subjects. Yumemi's positivity slowly chips away at Mr. Customer's cynical attitude, helping the junker to loosen up, showing a kinder side of him. Upon finishing repairs to the projector, Mr. Customer enjoys a presentation by Yumemi, the omnipotent storyteller of the stars. The junker enjoys it so much that even when the emergency power supply finally runs out and no longer being able to see the projections, he begs her to continue with her presentation, enjoying it through his memory and imagination, seemingly being entranced by it. I even thoroughly enjoyed her presentation as well. The stories she tells help to remind him of a time period much better than the current state of this dystopian world, before the stars went dark. Time must have stood still for him there. When her presentation is over, he finally decides to leave as Yumemi helps escort him safely to his vehicle. At this point, the destruction and loneliness of the world is made apparent once again. Yumemi gets to see firsthand the horrible state of the world, but does not give up hope that it will change for the better. Unfortunately, all of the happiness spent in the planetarium is short-lived, as this flashback story has a sad ending. Yumemi gives up the remainder of her life to save Mr. Customer, who otherwise would have been killed by a robot. The Junker is able to escape, but not unscathed, losing one of his legs, and the companion that changed his life, one that he wished to bring with him on his journey, Yumemi, in the process. All of this story happened in the past as Mr. Customer narrates it. The beginning of the Planetarian movie takes place in the present, where the world is doing even worse, now being covered in snow. Mr. Customer is no longer a junker, he now possesses a new name, Storyteller of the Stars. Clearly being heavily influenced by Yumemi, he goes from settlement to settlement teaching people and building up a reputation. His message is not only about the stars, but of hope, the same thing Yumemi taught him. The Storyteller of the Stars has been traveling for a long time alone in a nuclear wasteland, and it has taken a toll on his body as he nears death. Luckily for him, he has stumbled across the perfect final settlement, one where 3 kids have a thirst for knowledge. Not only are they interested in the stars, but they wish to carry on his legacy, teaching others the same message he has been carrying out since meeting Yumemi. The adults at this settlement, which is located underneath a church, seemingly have given up hope, but the kids have not, being worthy successors to the Storyteller of the Stars. At the end of the movie, we see that his final mission is complete, finding a younger generation who is willing and able to teach others, carrying on his legacy and hope. If you weren't sad at the first part of the story, Planetarian gives you yet another chance to be. We get to see Mr. Customer take his last breath, but not before he is reunited with Yumemi and other friends he made along the way in heaven. Yet another potential tear-jerking scene. The story Planetarian conveys is one of perseverance, hope, and the ambition of humanity. Despite the fact that the world is in disarray and everyone is struggling mightily to survive, it reminds us that hope still remains. Hope that sometime in the future, humanity can return to normalcy. Telling the story of the stars and of their existence is literally teaching people to have hope in this case. Most of humanity thought reaching outer space was impossible until it happened. Even though the current situation for humanity is bleak and it may seem impossible right now, there's still hope that the world can return to some type of normal state where people can live in relative harmony and return to the stars. If this hope is lost, we have nothing left to hold on to. Mr. Customer, or the Storyteller of the Stars, knows of this all too well. Yumemi represents positivity in a dark, gloomy world, and the stars she teaches about represent hope, the hope for a better future. She holds out hope that her co-workers and visitors will return to the planetarium someday. Despite how unlikely that is, she never gives up hope, because doing so will be acknowledging that there is no purpose in her life. Her purpose was to encourage people to chase their dreams and have hopes that those dreams are attainable. She still believes in humanity when virtually nobody else does. Yumemi is a bright, shining beacon in a dark world, not only by her bright design and attitude, but by her likability as a character. Her positivity and bright character design shines through the darkness, which is a stark contrast to the dark, gloomy world shown time and time again. By the end of the anime, shortly before her battery runs out, she fulfills her final purpose to help Mr. Customer continue to live by giving up her own life. Through her actions and positivity, Yumemi helps to change the life of the once cynical junker, passing on the hope for humanity and knowledge of the stars she had to him. I really like the fact that the movie had a lot of references to Christianity. For example, many of the characters from the abandoned church were named after famous people from the Bible. Characters like Levi, Job, Ruth, and Jeremiah, just to name a few of them. At times throughout the movie, I was wondering why a certain song that was being played felt so familiar to me, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. Thanks to Crunchyroll's comment section and the user The Stranger Survivor, I got my answer. The song that was being played was What a Friend We Have in Jesus, which led to an impromptu singing of it by me. Going into this anime, I obviously wasn't expecting any of this, but I was pleasantly surprised by and appreciated it. When talking about the show Planetarian, the Reverie of a Little Planet, or the story of the past, it is a short show that can talk about so much through such little dialogue, doing a pretty good job overall. The movie, Planetarian Storyteller of the Stars' story, has a level of comfort and coziness, which also has the potential to rip your heart out, resulting in tears at multiple points, especially at the end. I personally didn't cry at any point during the movie, but it's completely understandable if you did. Despite the fact that Planetarian is short in length, it can still tug on the viewer's heartstrings. Its effectiveness in doing that is a testament to the writing and storytelling of the movie and the visual novel that it is based off of, proving at the very least that it is a solid piece of media worth checking out. Unfortunately, it pains me to say this, but I can't agree with Reddit here. For the purposes of this series, an anime has to have at least a 7.5 out of 10 rating to be considered a hidden gem, and Planetarian does not reach that threshold, coming in just below it at a 7 out of 10. I fully understand why people consider it underrated, and I do think Planetarian is worth checking out, since it's definitely an enjoyable watch, but it wasn't enough to hit that underrated hidden gem status for me. I felt like everything about it could have been done better, with my main problem stemming from much of the dialogues not being that great, but again, it was pretty good overall. So after this review, Reddit falls to 1 and 2 with new underrated gem shows, and 11 and 10 overall, including the stuff I watched before the series started. Like I said earlier, if there's any anime on the list that you'd like to see next, tell me in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.